Good Friday evening to you, everybody. We're going to start tonight's town hall with an eye on the economy and a broad discussion about a lot of news out there right now, developments on several fronts. First, we got a better than expected jobs report this morning. Hundreds of thousands of new positions created last month. Easing pandemic restrictions helped, but could the war in Ukraine hurt? We'll talk about that. You also have inflation still a big concern, and today the state attorney general announced a new investigation into price gouging. It sounds pretty far-reaching. A former assistant AG will join us live to talk about that. And one of the biggest factors in the economy is gasoline. Prices shot up big time from yesterday to today, and it will get even worse. So with all of that in mind, let's get right into it and start with those new jobs. It's a real silver lining amid all the chaotic news. People are getting back to work in big numbers. Employers added almost 680,000 new jobs in February, nearly 300,000 more than expected. The Federal Labor Department says the unemployment rate fell from 4% down to 3.8%. The biggest gains are in leisure, hospitality, healthcare, and professional services sectors. It's an indicator that as COVID-19 is fading, people are leaving their homes, going out to eat, traveling more. And get this, 90% of the 22 million jobs that we lost early in the pandemic have now been recovered. Experts, including Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick, think that gap could close fully by this summer.
On the one hand, we have a job market that is strong, may get back to pre-pandemic levels or even better, but we have immense pressures on the inflation side, and we have prices up here and wages down here, and that causes strain on household budgets.
All right, so Mark told us, keep in mind that these numbers are based on how things were before Russia invaded Ukraine last week. That has upended the markets, driving up energy prices. Nobody knows when or how that situation will resolve, but Hamrick says if it continues for a while as expected, it could impact business confidence and even hiring here at home in the coming months. So new jobs look good, right? Inflation still looks bad. Prices are still very high for so many of the items that we buy each and every day. And it leads to this question: is there any gouging happening out there? State Attorney General Letitia James claimed the following. She says beef prices are up 30%, while meat packers have seen a 120% increase in their profits. Also, record profits for Procter & Gamble, even as their products like diapers, toothpaste, detergent, tampons, all getting much more expensive. Chipotle rose its prices 10%, while its operating income went up almost 200%. And then just a basic cup of coffee at Starbucks went up 20%, just as that company's profits went up 30%. James is now seeing if there is any illegal price gouging happening here in New York. So with that said, we welcome to the show Eugene Welch. He is a former assistant New York State Attorney General, now a partner at Tully Rinke. It's great to have you on, sir, especially with your background here. I wonder, Attorney General James said today that, some of these price increases may be legal, but some of them may be illegal because New York bans unconscionably excessive prices. Can you tell us how this investigation is going to proceed from here?
Well, what she's doing right now is she's conducting rule making. When the pandemic started back in 2020, the New York State Legislature amended our New York State price gouging statute, which has been on the books since I was in that office in 1979. But the circumstances have changed with the pandemic. So they passed a law that makes it more significant to find somebody guilty of price gouging. But they also gave her the authority to create rules that explain what's right and what's wrong. So she has issued this notice of rulemaking. People can participate. People should participate. Consumers should participate. Businesses that are getting hurt should participate because the people that are gouging are going to participate. So it should be a two-sided argument. She will then have 60 days to consider the discussion that people have submitted, and then we'll create the rules that will guide her thereafter. And the penalties can be severe if there has in fact been price gouging, which is defined in the statute. A court can assess $25,000 per violation. What does that mean? Well, violation could be as much as charging you too much money for a COVID test kit. The test kit might not be worth very much, but the violation could hit somebody with a $25,000 penalty. So it's going to be a process of rulemaking and then enforcement by Attorney General James or whoever the Attorney General is at the time that the rulemaking is done and the investigations are finished.
A couple of other quick questions. Based on what you know right now and what the AG said, do you think there's any gouging happening?
Well, very clearly, there has to be something going on if the prices and the profit margins have gotten so high. I mean, her initial study suggests that there is possible price gouging in shipping, in beef. I've of course not done the investigation. I don't know that, but times have changed. I mean, we didn't even have comparison prices about COVID tests before this study started. So that's something that has to be looked at. We don't know, but the study will examine whether or not that's possible, and what people's experiences can help her make a decision as to whether or not there might be price gouging. It takes some investigation to determine. There could be very legitimate reasons why it costs more to buy a car. But there could also be some form of price gouging because we all think there's a shortage of chips. And so we're willing to accept that the prices might be much higher.
Right.
Saw a ship sink in the ocean recently with luxury cars on it. So we think, well, maybe luxury cars prices should be higher, but we don't really know that. And that's what she's going to investigate to determine.
I'm almost out of time, but finally, we mentioned off the top the sticker shock that people are seeing at gas stations. And I want to show our viewers the national average jumping 11 cents a gallon just from yesterday to today. Now $3.84 a gallon for regular unleaded, and an even bigger increase here in Western New York. We're now at $4.03 a gallon on average. Quickly, if you can, is there price gouging happening at the pump, you think? Because these gas stations paid a lot less than this when they bought the gas, and they're selling it for a lot more now.
Well, that's true. They paid for it less than what they're selling it for now. But on the other hand, the question comes up is when it's going to be short next week, can they make up for it now when they have the gas in their tanks or in their supply chains? So we don't know if there's price gouging. It certainly smells like it's price gouging because the prices have gotten so high. But we have a war going on now, which makes everybody very nervous, and we are willing to accept perhaps prices should be higher. That's what she's got to investigate. That's what she's got to find out. And if it's price gouging, she has to take remedial action.
Such great information. Eugene Welch is a partner at Tully Rinke PLLC and a former Assistant State Attorney General. Thanks so much for helping us understand this. There's a lot to it, and your clarity is appreciated.
You're very welcome.
All right. Have a good weekend.